No baseball, basketball, or hockey to get you through until the football weekend? Don't worry, we have you covered over at Wager Talk and Sports Mo with our soccer handicappers. Get the rest of 2020 from your favorite soccer expert with an all-access soccer package for just $249. This is normally priced at $399, but right now it's discounted $150 off, and it includes any 5% plays normally priced at $40. Just head over to WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com to take advantage of this deal to lock in one of your soccer experts through the end of the year.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Stoppage Time. It's the live pregame show for Champions League match day 3. And I see by the graphics, we went from Kelly to me. So that's a complete downgrade there. Thanks everyone for joining. We're going to go over 3 games today. We're going to go over Atalanta, Liverpool. We're going to go over Real Madrid, Inter Milan, and we're going to go through Chelsea and Rennes, along with 4 segments where we're going to give away give out 4 free plays on the card, including some props, as we did last week. I think those went pretty well. And then end of the show, I will announce who the jersey winner is. I've taken all the names from the previous shows and the live betting shows that Nick and I did and drew a name, and that person gets a jersey of their choice. Let's bring in the crew. Nick Borrman, Kevin Dolan of wagertalk.com, and Pavlos Laguretos of Sports Memo. Let's just go quickly around the table. Nick, Champions League match day 3. How you doing, buddy?
Happy Tuesday. Happy election day to those in the States. And I love Champions League action. Went 5-0 yesterday, so I'm hoping to roll right into today and keep it riding hot. So I can't wait to get these games underway. I know you'll hit on a few teams that are missing some players with some coronavirus issues, so we'll get into that. But I'm looking forward to it, man. All's well.
And we'll throw it to our man in Ireland, who's very familiar with the voting process. Today is in the U.S. We're up here in Canada, but we're anxiously awaiting those election results. I'll be watching tonight with some friends. Kev, we have a drinking game. I'm going to be doing a Zoom with about 12 of my friends, and we're doing a drinking game. Every time the Democrats win a state, we are going to do chug a beer. Anytime the Republicans win, we'll chase it down with a shot of whiskey. What are your thoughts?
I think you'll be dead. Well, good luck with that. And I'm sure Nick can take over the show next week, Nick, if we don't see an appearance from you.
Pavlos, welcome to the show. You had a very good October. We'll talk about it during your segment. Welcome, and you're looking forward to the next couple of days?
Yeah, I'm looking forward because as good as October was, November has not started good for me yet. It's been really tough for me and my selections, but I'm on bounce back mode now, and we'll get to it. Hopefully today. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay, guys. Before we get into this, I'm going to just always remind you guys a little bit of business, of course. Show special. This is valid until 3 o'clock today with the kickoff of the late games. I know there's a couple early ones, but you can use this up anytime up to 3 o'clock. Use coupon code SHOW30 for the Champions League package, match day 3 package. That is all the plays today, all the plays tomorrow, including 5% releases. I had reduced it from $119 to $89. You can get an extra $30 off, so $59 gets you all the plays today and tomorrow in Champions League. That includes 5% plays that sell normally for $40. So that's a hell of a good deal. And it's Tuesday, of course, so it's $2 Tuesday at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Today at Wager Talk, the $2 capper is Brian Leonard. I love Brian Leonard, man. This guy is awesome. He has, I believe, a football play in Mac action. So head over to Wager Talk, pick up that $2 play. And at Sports Memo, a man who absolutely crushes his prop bets and stuff, Matt Josephs. So head over to Sports Memo and you can pick up his play today for only $2. All right, guys, with that said, we're going to head let's actually go to a segment first. I want to go to segment number 1. And this is Pavlos's props. So segment number 1, we're going to bring in Pavlos. Pavlos, you're looking at the Zenit St. Petersburg game and Lazio. This is a good one because I'm not sure which way you're going here on this one, but as far as Zenit, I believe Zenit's a live dog in this game here. Lazio lead the group, but drew away at Bruges with their reduced squad that was hit by COVID. I'm going to get to the COVID thing shortly, but I think they're an absolute live dog here. They've got to get a win and 3 points, Zenit. But you've got a prop in this game, so let's toss it to you and let me know what you got going here. In October, you were an ROI of plus 27.55. That's a pretty good month, increasing client bankrolls by 25%. Tell us what you got here.
Yeah, as you said, Zenit are in this group, and it's a very volatile group with Lazio leading with 4 points, Club Brugge have 4 points, Dortmund have 3 points, and Zenit have 0 points. So all is up for grabs in this group. So Zenit know that if they can't take advantage of this situation where Lazio have a lot of players missing due to COVID, then they're probably done in this group. So I expect Zenit to force themselves into the qualifying spots with a win here. However, my prop bet is for at least one penalty kick to happen in this match at the plus 180. We're looking for one penalty kick by any of the two sides. Let me remind you that Lazio played against Torino over this weekend, and there were 2 penalty kicks in that match, one for each team. In their previous match against Club Brugge, they conceded a penalty kick. Zenit also conceded a penalty kick against Dortmund in Matchday 2. So these are 2 teams that they like to force penalty kicks when they are attacking, and they're not very careful on the defense either. So this is a win or die situation for Zenit. So I expect them to either force some plays inside the area and get a penalty kick, or if they're losing, maybe they'll start kicking the Lazio players who are not clean at all. Lazio get a lot of yellow cards in their matches. So yeah, they're not careful at all at the defense. So I'm taking the one penalty kick, one or more penalty kicks in this match at plus 180. And I also singled out a single player who is very likely to take a yellow card. His name is Head. The guy started in the last 4 matches for Lazio. He got a yellow card in each one of those 4 matches. I'm not so sure if the coach will start him in this match, seeing that he's very careless at the back. But if he does play, I'm gonna bet on him to get at least a yellow card at plus 125. So those were my props for this week, and good luck with those.
All right, I love it, and I would love it if that penalty kick goes to Zenit. I told a couple people yesterday I really liked Zenit at that price. They were a complete live dog at plus 170. That line is now down to plus 140 at home. I'm not fading Lazio. I just, I just see them sometimes in international play and they just don't fare well in them. So we'll see what they do here as far as, the group is still theirs, but I believe the group, and we'll talk about it later on in the show, that this group is still Dortmund's to win or lose. With that, welcome some of the guys, Pizza, El Rey, Sammy, Lamaquina, Chance Copperpot, Anoop, I think I mentioned Oscar. Welcome to the chat, guys. We'll get to all of you guys. Andrew is in the chat. I'll be picking up a jersey for Andrew this end of the week when I go pick up the jersey for the winner of the draw. All right, guys, let's get to the first game. Atalanta, Liverpool. Currently, Liverpool top of the group, 6 points. Atalanta 4, Ajax 1. And Midtjylland has no points yet. This group, I still think it belongs to Liverpool, but it's a toss-up for that second and third spot between Atalanta and Ajax. Atalanta come off a big draw. It is a big draw. They were down 2-0 to Ajax. They came back with a couple goals, finished 2-2 and pick up a point there. And that is huge in the grand scheme of things in this group. Yeah, let's look at Liverpool first before I throw it to Nick. They've looked good. Listen, they're not firing on all cylinders like they did last year, Liverpool. But since that 7-2 loss to Aston Villa, they've looked good. 4 wins, 1 draw, 2 wins in Champions League. The two wins in league play, they fell behind 1-0 and then came back to win those games, both by 2-1 score lines. I think they get a bit of help back. Center back, Matip, he trained with the team on Sunday, should be in the lineup today, pending a late fitness check on him. That's going to help them out, especially here. This Atalanta team as well, you know what I mean? They're scoring goals. Again, that was a big win. This group takes a bit of a turn because of the news that came out yesterday as far as Ajax goes. A bunch of their players, 11 players, did not make the trip. 17 of the regulars of the first team will be making the trip or made the trip. They're missing some players. And I'm going to go into this about overreactions on COVID. Yes, it's big, but it doesn't send you to the window to bet the other team. Believe me. And I'll tell you, I waited after the news came out. I waited for the line to drop, and then I took Ajax. It plain and simple. I took them at -106, and now that line is up to -125, -130. It's just the law in Denmark that doesn't allow players to travel into their country, even if they're not showing the signs. These players have been playing in Netherlands. Completely different law there than they have as far as health and safety goes. With that said, Nick, I'm going to throw this to you. 9 points is the benchmark in Champions League. If you have 9 points after 3 games of this competition, the qualification rate is in the high 90s that you're going to make it into the knockout stages. So this is a big game for Liverpool. They're favorites here at +110. Atalanta's +210. The draw is +300, and the total before we went to air was at 3.5. Give me your thoughts on this game.
Well, you took all my notes for the game, so I got nothing left to say.
You got plenty to say.
Honestly, this seems like one of those general rules of thumb where you get Liverpool at a plus number, you just take it. I mean, is it that simple? But I don't know if it's my heart keeping me off of them, or maybe it's just science. But I really like Atalanta, and I just decided the side is not the way for me to play this game. I just couldn't kind of get there. But I can listen to arguments on Liverpool, take the plus money and go. And even Atalanta at a plus a quarter, I liked either way. But I think the total is a little too high at 3.5. When you look at Atalanta, we all just think, high-scoring team. But most of us forget they had the 3rd best defense in Serie A last year, according to expected goals. This season, they're number 6 so far. They're still doing their thing offensively, of course. But against Liverpool, I don't think they're going to be running around the field rampant like they would against the Cagliari or Midtjylland like in the Matchday 1. Like you already hit on this, Carm, but ever since that 2-7 loss at Villa, Liverpool have really righted the ship. They have 4 wins and a draw in their last 5. Their last 4 have all stayed under this total. What's crazy is in 7 Premier League games this year, they have an expected goals against number of 8.47, which seems like, okay, well, that's nothing special, but it's very low considering they gave up 7 goals against Villa. Their 15 goals they allowed on 8.5, call it, expected goals is just not sustainable. I know it looks like their defense is struggling. And yes, we know they're missing Van Dijk, but still, this is the same Liverpool team that dominated the Premier League last year. Granted, they probably were a little bit overinflated in their results last year. I think they're underinflated, especially on their defensive side so far this year. This kind of reminds me of the PSG-Atalanta quarterfinal last year, where it ended 2-1 to PSG. PSG really did a good job and controlled Atalanta pretty much the whole game, and Atalanta did a good job keeping PSG in check until those final 5 minutes. So I think it could play out similarly to that game, and I could go either way on the side. But I do like the under. I think it's going to stay under the total. I just don't see a lot of goals coming through on this one.
Yeah, and you know what? And Kev, before I throw this to you, it's one of those things that I talk about a lot. Just because you see a couple squads that light it up normally. When they play together, and sometimes you'll see a total of 3.5. It doesn't necessarily mean that this game is going to be a high-scoring game. The games are played completely different. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm waiting to see what the Liverpool lineup is going to look like. Will Firmino be in there? There's been discussion of Jota being in that lineup and taking his place. But anytime I see it, and I'm going to throw it to you on this point, Kevin, and you can take it from there, is we've talked about this in the past. You see Liverpool at plus money, and it doesn't seem free. I'm not saying that, but when you see Liverpool at plus money, it just seems too hard to give up sometimes. And I don't look at it as a trap, but we've seen them against Chelsea. We've seen them against other sides, and like, you're not going to get this price on Liverpool ever again. So you might as well take advantage of it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with Nick in respect to the side. I mean, look, Liverpool have a pretty poor record to Italian clubs. They've lost all of the last 3 visits travelling to Italy. So, yes, plus money does look a bit tantalising, but, I'm personally going to stay away from it. If I had to lean, I would actually take Atlanta, plus that quarter goal. Looking at the total, you would automatically assume goals in this one. 7 Atalanta's 9 group stage matches in the Champions League last season saw at least 3 goals, both scored and conceded. Average tally across those 7 games last season, also 3.89 goals per game. That's high, obviously. This season also, all 8 of the Italians' competitive games have featured over 2.5 goals as well. So, but I agree with Nick again on the total. I think this one will sneak under the total. Atalanta's goal average at home last season dropped to 3 in the Champions League. That was almost a full goal below their average overall. They were scoring more goals on the road. And they welcome in a Liverpool team who haven't been given enough credit on defence since getting blown out by Aston Villa a few weeks ago. It's improved considerably. They held Everton to 1.36 expected goals against on the road and 0.27 expected goals against the West Ham at the weekend as well. If you're looking at the side, Atalanta have lost just once to English competition across their last 4 in European competition, so that's a good sign. So the Italians are probably worth a small look, catching a head start in this one. The play for me, while I do slightly lean Atlanta and the under, instead of trusting that total or the quarter goal line, I'll take Duvan Zapata because I do think there will be some goals in this game. First goal scorer prop at plus 550. Zapata's netted first for Atlanta over the last 2 Champions League games and has already bagged 3 goals in the competition already, including that opening goal against Midtjylland 2 weeks ago. So that's the play I like. I like that value. Duvan Zapata, first goal scorer, plus 550.
All right. I love it. And, sometimes you've got to do your homework on these games. And I tell you, always got to do your homework on these games. Like if you look at, if you just looked at their last 5 games on form, you're thinking, well, Liverpool 4 wins, 1 draw. They're looking great. You look at Atalanta and they got a couple losses and the draw in that. And you're wondering they're not in the same form. But you have to understand in this competition and with teams like Atalanta, teams like Club Brugge, teams like Rennes, who aren't, and no disrespect to them if you're a fan of these teams, they're not the top teams in Europe. You'll see their managers the weekend before Champions League will rest players, at least for that first half of the game. If they're ahead, these guys will completely sit out the game. If they're behind, they'll bring them in. And we've seen that with Atalanta. The game against Napoli, they got blown out in that first half, and they rested a majority of their team ahead of their game in Denmark against Midtjylland. And then sort of the same thing against Sampdoria. They lost at home 3-1 to Sampdoria. That's a team that they would normally beat, but they had Ajax on tap next time out. So it's one of those things that you've got to look at it. Do I expect them to play their best game here? Yeah, they're going to have their best game. They're going to have their players in there, and they play one style and one style only. And that is to attack. That is to press high. So it'll be interesting how this game turns out as far as scoring goes, but I definitely like how it's going. Pavlos, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Atalanta they did rest some players over the weekend in the 2-1 win against Crotone. They'll be missing their left back and their right back. Those guys, they really like to push the team up high and throw lob balls at Zapata up front. But Liverpool, they have a really good left back and right back. Robertson and Alexander Arnold are top tier defenders. They will surely keep Atalanta's offensive tries from down both flanks. I think Liverpool will cut those off. They know well exactly how Atalanta play. So yeah, I don't think. I mean, if you take a look at the over 3.5 goals, it's at a decent price, but it's a very tricky match for me because for everyone actually. Because as Ray said, Liverpool have an upcoming match against Manchester City over the weekend, so this might complicate things. So I don't want to drag this out. I think it's not going to be as an open match as people think, but I like Kevin's prop on Zapata to score.
All right, awesome. And speaking of Kevin, we're going to go to him next for segment number 2, Total Recall. But before that, guys, we have a show. This is our end of soccer promo. You saw it at the beginning with the beautiful Kelly explaining it. Get your favorite cappers play for your favorite cappers soccer plays for the rest of 2020 for only $249. That's every single play from now till the end of 2020, including 5% soccer plays. For $249. It's a great deal. That usually goes for $399. Also, it's $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. You get the hottest cappers there. Brian Leonard, $2 Tuesday at Wager Talk. He's got a Mac play up, I believe. And Matt Josephs at Sports Memo. He is the prop master. Get his $2 play. Those are great deals. And you can find them every Tuesday at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. With that said, let's get to segment number 2. This is Total Recall. I love the name of this. Kev came up with this. And Kev, you're going to look at PSG and Red Bull Leipzig. Very good game here. And I believe these two teams met in the semifinals of last year's Champions League. You're on a damn good run, cashing 10 of your last 17 plays, heading back to last Thursday or so. Give us something on this game, PSG, Red Bull Leipzig.
Yeah, I mean, it was either Total Recall or Total Eclipse of the Heart. I couldn't decide, between the two, which one to call this segment. But we're going to turn attention, as you said, to Group H. RB Leipzig host Paris Saint-Germain. This is a crucial game. Both teams need to win, if they're going to keep pace with group leaders Manchester United, because, look, United are favourites, obviously, against Istanbul. So the loser here will fall a full 6 points behind if that does happen. Consecutive defeats to nil for Leipzig over the last week, including that 5-0 club record defeat against Manchester United last Wednesday. I mean, the Julian Nagelsmann, he'll be fully focused on that defence heading into this one, as he looks to nullify that weakened, but yet still dangerous PSG attack. No Neymar or Mbappe here means Moise Kean will get a chance to add to his 4 goals over his last 3 starts. So Leipzig definitely can't sleep on the Everton low knee here. The upside for Nagelsmann in this one is Leipzig's defence at home this season has been rock solid. However, the Germans have allowed just 0.7 expected goals against per game this season in the Bundesliga. And they held second place Group B compatriots Borussia Monchengladbach to just 0.62 expected goals against at the weekend, despite losing that game 1-0. PSG themselves have allowed just 0.93 expected goals against on the road domestically this season, and will travel here full of confidence, knowing, as you said, Carmine, that they handed Leipzig that 3-0 loss in the Champions League semi-final a few months ago. However, as we said about the injury report, that was a different team, and they'll have to rely more on their backline here if they're to secure another win. The last 3 times French teams have played in Leipzig, they've allowed just 0.67 goals per game, so PSG will look to add to that stellar defensive record here on Wednesday. PSG have won all of their last 5 away games to 0, and we like another low-scoring game in this one. Now, we had this circled at 3.25 as we were researching this play, and it was still at that number as early as about 3 hours ago when we checked. Since then, however, that line has dropped down to a straight 3 now. But we believe even at that, there's still little value at that number. However, I would try and wait this out to see if any 3.25s return closer to game time. As I would imagine, once the public does get involved, see these two traditionally high-scoring teams, even without Neymar and Mbappe, they may well see this line as cheap, take a piece of the overs. So, wait this one out, look for those 3.25s to return, and that'll wrap things up for your total recall play for Tuesday.
All right. I absolutely love that one, Kevin. I will be on it. As Kevin said, about what starts waiting out these numbers sometimes. We've seen it during the first 2 match days. I get messages on Twitter from my customers, clients, about like some of these lines. The volatility in these lines has been huge for the first 2 weeks, and we never see it. The lines are usually, we consider them very sharp, and none of these games are moving off of that I've heard on any sharp action, any syndicate action. And we've seen, their false moves in that sense. Match day 1, the lines win against Atalanta, dropping down considerably, win against Bayern Munich, and they both came away with 4-0 wins in those games. So there's kind of no rhyme and reason to these things. So I wouldn't put much stock into it, but you can always do info on these games just to make sure that there aren't significant players out. With that said, let's head to preview number 2. This is going to be an interesting one. Real Madrid, Inter Milan. Current odds on this game, Real Madrid at showtime were -118. The draw was +300. Inter Milan +280. The total was at 3, -110. Before I go to Pavlos first on this one, I always like to go to him first on any game featuring a Spanish team. We're 2 games into this, and Real Madrid sit bottom of the group. Nothing I would have expected thus far, but let's look at it. Zidane got game 1 absolutely wrong as far as that lineup goes. You had Shakhtar Donetsk come in with a COVID hit team, only 13 of their regulars, a bunch of juniors, and Zidane, ahead of the El Clasico with Barcelona, decided to rest some of his players. Didn't put out his best starting 11, and it came back to bite him in the ass. They made a great comeback at the end and almost drew at 3-3, but VAR overturned a goal, so they lost that 3-2. And they came back in the last 6 minutes in Germany against Borussia Monchengladbach to draw 2-2, or they could have been sitting here with 0 points. They now welcome Inter, who will be missing Romelu Lukaku. He will not be playing in this game. Inter, same type of thing. 2 draws after 2 games. And this is a team that when I look at my metrics, they should have a win in one, if not both of these games, and somehow have managed 2-2 and 0-0 draws. Completely unacceptable for this side. But now they come in, they go to Madrid without Lukaku, and I'm expecting Conte to while fielding his best side, to have defensive midfielders in there to slow down, muddle up that midfield of this Madrid team, because they're looking at it. A draw here is the same as a win for them. 3 points out of 3 games isn't the greatest, but puts them in good shape. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you first on this game. Give me your thoughts.
First of all, I'd like to talk about a really interesting prop bet that I saw in my sports book, and the prop bet is for Antonio Conte, Inter Milan's coach, to get a card at +700. The guy is a hothead. I don't know if you find this in your sports book, but if you find it, just throw a couple of bucks there. He's just a really funny guy to watch on the sidelines. So let's go to the teams. Real Madrid are missing their 2 starting right backs, so they'll have to use either Marcelo with an off foot or Lucas, who is a right winger at the right back. Inter are devastated by the loss of Romelu Lukaku. I don't know how they'll cope up front. They will probably use Martinez along with Sanchez, who is questionable to participate. Otherwise, Perisic will probably start at the front. In any case, it's a huge blow for Inter Milan. I don't think that they have high chances for a win here. Let me talk about how these teams have done in European competitions. Real Madrid have won only one of their last 7 at home. One of their last 7 Champions League matches at home. They have 1 win, 3 draws, and 3 losses. Never in their history have they gone undefeated in 4 consecutive home matches in the Champions League. Right now, they are at 0 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. So if they fail to win today, they'll write history, and in a bad way. So I think they'll have the extra incentive to win here. They know that Inter Milan without Lukaku are something like a teethless dog or something like that. Let me talk about how Real Madrid have done at home against Italian sides. They have 24 wins, 7 losses, and 3 draws against Italian sides. While Inter Milan, when they travel to Spain against any Spanish side, they have 3 wins, 15 losses, and 2 draws, which is really, really bad. So, yeah, I think that Inter Milan will be clearly affected by the loss of Romelu Lukaku, but they still have a lot of units that could score. He's not the only goal scorer in that team, of course. There is a lot of other players from the midfield that can score. And Real Madrid's defense hasn't actually been very trustworthy lately. They've conceded a ton of goals in the last 5 matches. So on a first look, I'd go with the over 3 goals here.
All right. Okay. No, I like it. And I'm going to go to Kev next on this. And Pavlos was talking about, Real Madrid's record against Italian teams. I remember, this is a bad memory for me, but I still remember Juventus losing leg 1 at home, 3-0 to Real Madrid, and then going to the Bernabeu where they quickly got out to a 2-0 lead, scored a third one. It looked like we were heading to extra time, and then good old Michael Oliver, the match official, got involved, awarded a penalty and a red card to Buffon, who was the starting goalie at the time. Ronaldo scored. Juventus won that game 3-1, but were eliminated on the aggregate. So, I did not send him a Christmas card, Kevin, and I haven't done for the last few years. Give me your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I would have loved to know the odds, after 2 match days taking place, that these 2 teams are sitting 3rd and 4th in the group respectively. Total's a tricky one for me. I think it's priced around right because, we obviously know the absence of Lukaku here, but Madrid's backline, huge problems. They've shipped at least 2 goals over the last 4 Champions League games. But Inter do have their defense isn't too bad. They've allowed no goals on the road last week to Shakhtar, and they also averaged the 2nd best expected goals against record on the road this season in Serie A, giving up just 0.82 expected goals per game. I think if I was playing this game, I would look at Inter catching that plus 0.75 line at around minus 125. If you buy it up, there's some value on that, as I think Inter will play for a draw. Maybe look to nick one late, and you also partially covered on that full goal line as well. I just think that those people expecting some kind of Real Madrid resurgence to automatically take place here might be in for a bit of disappointment. I expect a tighter, than affair. I just can't trust, even though I expect a tight affair. I think the goal line is set right because Real Madrid's defense is just not very good. So I can't trust it under here. Outright draw plus 300. I think that's tempting in. I do see it, a draw is a likely scenario. So yeah, lean Inter plus 0.75 or outright draw plus 300.
Yeah, and I know that our chat has a bunch of Barcelona fans and a bunch of Real Madrid fans, and they'll never agree on what happens in La Liga when these teams meet or when they play in any of their other domestic games. But with that said, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The regularity that Real Madrid are awarded penalty kicks, they are plus 350 to score a penalty today, which will likely be Sergio Ramos taking that penalty. So why don't we go with Sergio Ramos to score today and a penalty, Real Madrid to score a penalty. That's plus 350 on Madrid to score a penalty today. That's my prop as I throw it to Nick for this game.
I took Inter in each of the first 2 games in this group stage. They won their expected goal tally in the two games was 4.99 to 1.42. Yet they have 2 draws. It's unbelievable how they just cannot score against Shakhtar, and then that they gave up those 2, penalty and another bad goal against Gladbach, and they're sitting here bottom of the table with Real Madrid, which is funny, right? These are the 2 teams we, favor to come out of this group, and they're both at the bottom. So what does that mean? That means neither team can really afford to continue to drop points. So they need wins. I think for that reason, especially if Shakhtar Gladbach, if there's a result either way there's going to start to be a gap for the loser of this match. And I think both teams know that, and a draw is really not helping them either. And I think both are going to be playing aggressive for the 3 points. So when you look at the total, 3 I think is valued pretty well. I do see both teams scoring here because the fact Kevin hit on it. Real Madrid's backline has not been very solid. Yes, Lukaku is out, but I'm not too concerned with that. Inter they still have plenty of good goal scorers, and they've been able to generate plenty of chances. Just Lukaku's not there to finish, which he hasn't been anyway, really. So I like the combo play here. Both teams to score and over 2.5. Right now it's around -120. If your book doesn't offer it, you can parlay the 2. But I think it could end 2-1 either way. I do like, if I'm leaning on the side, it's going towards the inner side just because I don't trust Real Madrid, and I think there's value. I agree with Kevin. Plus a half you can get for even money, or you can go with the 3/4 goal line. But I like both teams to score and over 2.5 in this one.
All right. I love it. And we're not going to lose Nick because we're going to go right back to Nick for this segment. I love this segment. It reminds me of that scene from Hangover, you know what I mean? Where they're heading down the escalator to play blackjack and all you just see is the numbers and what have you. So with that said, Nick's numbers. Nick, you're going to look at, Nick's numbers. You're going to look at, I believe, the Marseille game. So take it away, my friend. Nick's numbers.
Does that mean I look like Zach Galifianakis? Is that your reference, or is it just the numbers?
Well, you can look like Bradley. What's his name there? Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. All right, I'll take that one. Porto, they're just a tough team to crack at home. They have just 3 losses in their last 30 home games with 2 draws and 25 wins, including beating Olympiacos 2-0 in their last match, who Marseille lost to 0-1 in Greece. Both teams, obviously unsurprisingly, struggled against Man City, but Marseille really looked especially bad. They had 2 shots the entire game with a .06 expected goal tally, just not solid at all. And we know I like to look at the expected goal tallies of these teams to kind of get an idea how they're really playing. So far, Ligue 1, Marseille, they've played 8 games. They have a 1.06 expected goal tally, and they're allowing 1.56. Obviously not a good ratio there. They did play PSG, whom they miraculously beat 1-0, despite losing the XG 0.5 to 2.22. So again, if you look at Marseille and you look at what they're doing on the field, they're getting better results than their gameplay is suggesting they should be getting, and that's going to eventually bleed out on them. When you go back to Porto here, you're looking at a situation where they're generating 2.16 expected goals in Premier Liga and allowing just 1.06. And I know the Portugal League is a little less than the League One, but still they're doing what they should. They're beating up at the teams they should. Their only bad game was this past weekend, 2-3 against Ferreira, but they rested to get ready for this game. So I think the numbers are in Porto's favor. They're too hard to beat at home. I like the line right now. It's -110, -115, and all expected goal tally numbers are pointing towards the home side. So I'm leaning on Porto on this one, boys.
Right, love it. Okay, with that said, we are going to go to the third and final game before we get to my own segment, the Bullseye segment, but Chelsea Rennes. So let's head to this game. And before I throw it to Kevin on this one, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of a feedback on my thoughts on this game. Listen, the Blues are playing well. 5 clean sheets in 6 games. I talked about them on last week's show. They were my bullseye play, and they easily got there with a 4-0 win. The thing is, I like to play devil's advocate sometimes with these games. And, you see 5 clean sheets in 6 games, and you look at it and you're like, okay, well, they're finally come together. They're playing extremely well. But I take things with a grain of salt. And, by that, I mean, if you can only play the teams that they put in front of you. So let's not make an excuse as far as that goes. But you look at these clean sheets, and they came against Burnley, Krasnodar, Crystal Palace, draws, scoreless draw against Sevilla, and the draw against Man United. Man United's also struggling. We have to talk about that. They've scored 9 goals in 6 league games, and they're 15th in the league. With that said, still a quality team. You look at Rennes, and they fit the mold of what I talked about earlier. A team that is in this competition, but trying with a congested schedule in front of them of Champions League games. And we've gone 3 weeks in a row of Champions League. That isn't something that happened or has happened in the previous years. There's always been a week break in between. But they're trying to play League One games. They're trying to play these Champions League games. And you're trying to decide what players to play. And you're usually resting guys in league play. So their form isn't or doesn't look the greatest, but they're resting players. It's just what happens with them. As far as this goes, I don't be surprised if a team like Rennes goes and steals a point against a team like Chelsea. It's not a knock on Chelsea, but when you're playing so well, you've got to look at the teams that you're playing against as well. With that said, Kev, give me your thoughts on this game.
I like the under in this one. Surprisingly, for those paying attention, Chelsea have been actually pretty solid at the back over the last few weeks. They've kept 4 clean sheets in a row. They'll be going for their 5th Wednesday night, and if they get it, that'll be the first time in over 10 years Chelsea's kept 5 clean sheets. So something obviously Lampard's focusing on here. And on the French side of the play, Rennes themselves have been relatively tight at the back as well. They're allowing just 0.68 expected goals against on the road this season domestically. That's number 1 in the French league. And in Europe, they haven't been breached in the first half over either of their 2 games so far in this season's Champions League. So I would take the total. I would take it to the under. You can get under 1.25 first half total line. As I expect Rennes to set up, pretty tight early on here and try and contain this Chelsea attack. So yeah, play it for me. First half under 1.25.
All right. Love it. Pavlos, thoughts on this game? Blues are looking extremely well, my friend. They're minus 275 in this game. The goal line is, I think, 1.5 now. Easy win?
No. As much as I love Chelsea, as much as I hate Rennes for destroying my 5% on that first day, on match day 1, and even though Rennes are missing one of their most creative midfielders, for some reason I'm really scared of this match. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Chelsea can drop 3 or 4 goals on Rennes here, but I'm not so sure. I mean, they conceded 3 goals to Southampton, 3 goals to West Brom. Yes, they have kept a lot of clean sheets. Yes, that is because they ousted Kepa from the lineup, and they now have Mendy, who is a much more stable and both physically and mentally as a goalkeeper. So yeah, their defense is starting to glue together. They're doing great, but I don't know. We all had high expectations for Rennes in this group. Maybe this looks like a sneaky draw. Maybe Rennes could cover that 1.5 goal spread. I don't really know. I'll probably make my final decision tomorrow after I've seen the latest news on who's gonna play, what are the lineups gonna be like. But yeah, I'm not very fond of Chelsea here. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I get it. And listen, I can tell you for certain that this Chelsea Rennes game is not on my card today, or not on my today and tomorrow Champions League cards. If for no other reason, I just can't get a feel on the game. It's very easy to say, and I know there's some guys in the chat and they're like 3-0 Chelsea, 3-1 Chelsea, 2-0 Chelsea. Yeah, it's great because you look at current form, and that sometimes is all you have to work with. But if you watch enough of the games, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, every 8 games that get played in Champions League on Tuesday and every 8 games on Wednesday, I watch every single game in full, thanks to the zone that shows the games on replay. And I watch the games because you need to get a feel for the team. And this Chelsea team is playing extremely well. We knew they would eventually with the amount of money that they spent on this team to compete. It's just one of those games sometimes where you just get a gut feeling, and unfortunately, you're like, I'm just going to skip this game. I got no feel for it. So that's where I sit with this one, Nick. But I'm sure you like a side.
Carm, Pavlos, quit chickening out, man. I don't know what you're scared of. Chelsea's the play here. I think we need to rename Pavlos' section to Pavlos. Pavlos' cojones. That should be his section. Go pair, Pavlos. Come on. At the end of the day, I think it's pretty simple. Chelsea was a bet against for me early in the season. They brought in all the talent in the world. So, the Lions were way juiced to them, but they hadn't had the time on the field. They've gotten the time on the field now. They've gotten better and better and better every game. Kevin hit on it, 4 straight clean sheets. They're playing much better, much more cohesively together as a unit. Rennes, listen, League One, that's where they reside. They don't have a lot of competition going on in the league. They're not, they finished top 4 to get here in a shortened season. I honestly don't think they would have been here had that season played out in full. One telling game for me was just the last game. Sevilla, 2.45 expected goals against 0.1 for Rennes. Yes, the result was 1-0 for Sevilla, but Sevilla just destroyed Rennes all over that game, and I just think it's going to play out similarly. If you just look at the math, right? Chelsea 0.43 to Sevilla 0.24, and that 0-0 draw was expected goals. And like I said, Sevilla 2.45 to 0.1. Just add them up. That means Chelsea's going to win by 2.54 expected goals. It's that simple, really. So I think obviously it's not that simple, but I think Chelsea is just coming together. I don't see any way Rennes is going to hang with them here. It could be 3-0 by the time it's all said and done, but I don't mind laying the number here. I think Chelsea's going to win this one.
Yeah, I get it, Nick. I know Kevin is excuse me. I know Kevin is the same way. We look at the numbers. My plays are based on my numbers of where I think the game should be, and then from just watching these teams, I sort of put the two together to come up with what I like on a daily basis. So there's 8 games today, 8 games tomorrow. I normally have 2 or 3 plays, and that's it. I can't put out a 20 game parlay just because the games are there. It's just a bankroll killer in that sense. For the guys, everyone that looks like in the chat, there's a resounding a consensus that everyone loves Chelsea, everyone loves the over, and I want you guys to win. So, hey, Chelsea 4-0 gets you guys the money. It'd be great if you guys all win. I'm an observer on this game, and it's going to remain that way. One final thing, guys, before we go to the final segment, which I'm going to pop through real quickly. Remember, you can get all the plays for your favorite capper to the end of 2020 for only $249. That's the end of soccer package and a Matchday 3 special, $30 off using Show 30. You can get today's and tomorrow's plays in Champions League, including 5% plays. Final segment, guys. I'm going to look at the Club Brugge Borussia Dortmund game. I went a little bit long, so I'm going to make this segment extremely short. I am going with Dortmund here. You're laying 3/4 of a goal, -0.5, -1, so it's 0.075. Matchday 3, Matchday 4, teams will play against home and away against the same squad. So they're heading to Bruges here to play this game, and then heading home where they will host Bruges in that game. This is their group to win. They come off a 2-0 win on the weekend that they played without their striker, Erling Haaland. He's healthy and should be in this game. They're playing extremely well. They're starting to pick up steam. This is the team that should win this group. I picked them to win the group at the in our pregame shows, and I'm sticking here. I'm not going to give you a lot of stats because we ran long on this show. So my play here is Dortmund -0.75. This play is good up until 1 if it takes a lot of it late action, and they are a goal favorite. They're my pick to win this game. Finally, guys, the jersey winner. I know you guys have been waiting for this, but the jersey winner, I drew a name, and I won't give his full name that he used on the show, but the jersey winner is someone with the first name Khalil. So I will reach out to you. I'll post this on Twitter, but Khalil is the jersey winner. You get to choose whatever jersey you want, and I will ship it to you once you give me the address. I want to thank everyone that tuned into the show. I want to thank Nick Borrman, Kevin Dolan, Pavlos Laguretos for tuning in and giving us your thoughts on these games. Guys, best of luck with your wagers today. Head over to wagertalk.com and Sports Memo. Support your favorite capper. And as always, good luck with your wagers, guys.
No baseball, basketball, or hockey to get you through until the football weekend? Don't worry, we have you covered over at Wager Talk and Sports Mode with our soccer handicappers. Get the rest of 2020 from your favorite soccer expert with an all-access soccer package for just $249. This is normally priced at $399, but right now it's discounted $150 off, and it includes any 5% plays normally priced at $40. Just head over to WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com to take advantage of this deal to lock in one of your soccer experts through the end of the year.